Thank you everyone for coming along and welcome to this webinar, this IFLA webinar on strengthening library associations, lessons from the Evaluating Building Stronger Library Associations programme report. I'm very glad to be here today, not only with the authors of this report, but also with Loida Garcia-Fibo of the Management of Library Association section, who provided some really important, valuable feedback in preparing this and structuring it. But crucially also 3 really great examples of library associations that have really invested, that have managed to achieve a sort of transformation, their effectiveness and their sustainability and their ability to make a difference. Why we care, why we look at library associations as a topic, and these are ideas, these are arguments that actually come from our strategy, but I'd argue are actually relevant for library associations everywhere. So why do we form associations? Firstly, because we have things in common. We face shared problems, common issues to which we need to find solutions, and it's often far easier, it makes far more sense to look for these answers together. It's far quicker to innovate, to find answers. We have associations because it's important to have an infrastructure to be able to work together, to be able to exchange, to be in touch. If we want to offer universal access to information, none of us can do it on our own. We need to work together. We have associations to serve as a voice in the wider world, to go into other spaces, non-library spaces, to make the case for libraries, to explain why they're valuable, more importantly, why they need to be supported. And also we have associations because it's a way of affirming solidarity, a sense of belonging to a single field, to a group of professionals with shared values, with a sense of togetherness. Through this, we argue that library associations they help make better libraries, but through that, we make better lives and a better world. And so that's really what we wanted to do with this study when commissioning it last year. And hopefully what we can try to achieve in this session today is explore that. How can we actually trigger this potential, realize this opportunity to make sure that libraries associations are delivering that potential to make that really positive difference? In terms of what we're going to try and do today, in terms of our objectives, firstly, we hope that you'll go away at the end of this session with a better idea about the report prepared by QualityMetrics, as well as the tools that are offered within there. We hope you'll have the chance to think a little bit about how you can use them in your own context within your associations as you think about where might your goals be, where might you want to develop. And finally, we hope that you'll end up being inspired by the examples from very different parts of the world and actually draw on that energy in order to support your own work. As for the agenda, we're going to have a quick introduction, so you're already having me, and then I'll hand over to Loida to say a few words. We'll then have a presentation of the report to be Martha Kirilladou and Lisa Hinchcliffe. And then finally, we're going to have those national examples from Myanmar, from Miatsan 9, from Lebanon, from Basma Shabani, and from Jamaica, from Joseph A. Kerr. And then if there's a bit of time at the end, we'll have an open discussion. I would, of course, encourage you, if you have questions, comments, please do use that chat function. And before handing over to Loida, some quick thanks, just because it's important to say, obviously to the QualityMetrics team, to Martha and Lisa who are here today, but also to Shanika who contributed to the report, to the MLAS team who supported this and who provided guidance and support, to the Gates Foundation whose financial support via SIGIL made this possible, and to all those who responded to surveys and actually shared your experiences, which in the end was essential if we're looking to carry out any sort of evaluation. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing myself and hand over to Loida.
Hola, everyone. Hello from Puerto Rico. I'm delighted to be here with you all talking about library associations, and I would like to share my screen briefly to mention a number of activities that MLAS is undertaking. MLAS stands for the Management of Library Associations section, and the mission is to build and support well-managed library associations. IFLA is a federation of library associations and institutions, and so library associations are part of it. All library associations, members of IFLA, are members of MLAS. So we have a really nice number of members at large. And currently, pertaining to the topic today, we have undertaken an initiative called Building Strong Libraries Associations Initiative. And it is totally different from what IFLA had a number of years ago and what the report is about. This is a smaller scale initiative. It's only for the members of MLAS. And we have focused on 5 priority areas, as we can see on the screen: library advocacy, financial sustainability, membership retention, strategic planning, and information integrity. We did this after analyzing a number of surveys that we took from the global library associations. MLAs carry out a survey, and other surveys that IFLA has carried out. We are all part of this beautiful team, the beautiful family of IFLA. And here is one slide so everybody can see and have the big picture, priority areas. And it includes webinars, it includes events with library associations in different countries that our members help to coordinate, and includes hopefully an element of mentorship. Library associations helping other library associations. And it's all by volunteers. So it's not a big scale thing, but I hope and we hope that this is helpful to inform the efforts underway. And then if you want to read more about this, you can look up the most recent issue of our report, which is on our MLAS page. It includes details about what we're doing. There is also an article on our activities on the most recent, or I believe on the IFLA newsletter issue from April. And I just wanted to have on the screen, and then maybe you can come back to the recording and read about the places where we have presented events. We collaborated with the Lebanese Library Association to present their annual conference last year about digital preservation. Amazing to see Basma here as well. And we collaborated with the Croatian Library Association, and also Romania, Finland, and the group in Dominican Republic. Also in Lesotho, they were looking into how to tackle strategic planning. And since that is one of our priority areas, we collaborated with them and other IFLA units. And the collaboration has taken the shape of programming or working together to review maybe program presentations. It's very varied, and it's all done by the amazing MLAS membership. And we also had an on-site meeting in Berlin and in Astana. And I wanted to mention Astana because I hope that everybody is planning to go to Kazakhstan in August to join us in the World Library and Information Congress. And so here are the information about the webinars. I've been posting this on the IFLA list, and the webinars are with each region of the world through the amazing collaboration with the IFLA regional divisions. And we focus on a priority area or priority areas that are needed in the region. So the regions and the division chairs have consulted with the members. It's very collaborative, and they have selected the priorities they would like to feature and highlight. And the speakers are speaking towards that to help build strong library associations in those regions. So it's very, for instance, the one in MENA that just happened in May was in English and Arabic language, and the one for Latin America and Caribbean that is coming up next week on June 20th will be totally in Spanish. So it's very important to really cater to the needs of the regions. And here I wanted to include a screenshot of the MLAS YouTube page where we have the recordings of those webinars. And we just added one last night, so you can tune in the YouTube page and find that one too. Finally, I want to encourage people to also look up and attend, if possible, the next webinar that we will have. It will be on advocacy to strengthen the library impact through evaluation. Very interesting, big project that other group of volunteers and the members of MLAS took on. And you can also watch the recording of our webinar on financial sustainability for library associations. Is already on our YouTube page. And this is all MLAS members are amazing. We are working very hard together with other sections of IFLA, the IFLA staff, and the regions of the world. I'm happy to stay here with you for a little while. And Stephen, over to you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, highlighting some of these things, and I'm sure we can share some links subsequently to those. But so I think returning to the subject in hand and the report, looking back at some of the lessons learned, I want simply now to hand over to Martha in order to start the presentation of the major report.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you, Loida, for this wonderful overview of MLAS. MLAS was very important to us as we were launching this study. Just an overview of our agenda of the slides that Lisa and I will be presenting. We will introduce ourselves. We will talk about the report findings because our effort looked backwards at the Building Stronger Library Association's effort over the last 15 years in the past, and also looked forward by developing the taxonomy of association capacities that we believe are important for the future. And through this webinar, we are starting, I think, officially the engagement with associations out there in the field that the three associations represented here will elaborate on. Just a brief introduction. I was born and raised in Greece and came to the U.S. on a Fulbright and did my basic education in my master's level education at Kent State University in Ohio, and completed the PhD at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And then in 2016, I launched, after 22 years at the Association of Research Libraries, I launched QualityMetrics that does evaluation and library impact work all over the US. And Lisa, would you like to say a few things about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Martha, and welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us here today. I am Lisa Janicki Hinchliffe. I am at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, which many people in IFLA are familiar with because we also host the Mortensen Center. I've been here since 2002, and I currently serve as the coordinator for research professional development, supporting our librarians as they pursue research and publication. I was president of ACRL, the Association of College and Research Libraries in the United States, from 2010 to 2011. I have served in a number of different capacities within IFLA, currently on the professional council, and very honored to be elected to the governing board starting after the upcoming WILIC. I also currently chair the ORCID board of directors and have been active in a number of other associations. So it's been a pleasure to work with Martha and Shanika and Stephen and everyone else on this project. So let me turn it back over to you, Martha.
Yes, we had a third collaborator in the study, Shanika Morris, and Shanika and I worked at the Association of Research Libraries together for a number of years, and we are working on many different projects under the QualityMetrics umbrella as well. We want to say thank you also to the members of the scientific committee that we put together from a variety of countries, including members of MLAS, and a number of them also represent people who have a very deep history in the historical part of the program, the Building Stronger Library Associations program. And a brief overview of what we did, it was a competitive process and we were awarded the project. We established the scientific committee early on. And at the same time, we were doing extensive desk research. We have extensive knowledge of library associations, but there's a lot, we hadn't conceptualized before. So that desk research helped us in having an initial conceptualization of key elements of library association success. And we also received many different evaluations that the BSLA program, the Building Stronger Library Associations program, had produced over a period of 15 years from, starting back in 2009. So there is a lot of lessons learned from these evaluative reports, and we try to synthesize a lot of these lessons, as you will see. We did interviews, we did a survey in English, in Spanish, and in French. And we started developing the taxonomy and refined the taxonomy with 2 validation workshops in December and January. And we produced the final report revising the taxonomy and the findings on an iterative basis. A few major findings from the historical Building Stronger Library Association work. It was a transformative program for many library associations, enabling them to professionalize, advocate effectively, and expand their influence. And I would like to mention, even in the US, for example, the Gates Foundation supported the creation of COSLA at that time, which is the state library agencies and the association that represents those. So, all over the world, in all continents, we have seen the impact of that work. While challenges like sustainability and declining momentum remain, the foundational skills and networks established through this program have had lasting benefits for participating associations and their communities. And we identified a list of 10 key benefits, from capacity building, advocacy and visibility, collaboration and networking, leadership development, strengthening membership and participation, practical tools and resources, enhancing organizational resilience, bridging regional and global gaps, improved library services and community impact, and long-term influence and legacy. Now, as we started looking from the past into the future, we have seen a number of key challenges around financial stability, advocacy, leadership, collaboration, and technology integration. And the future needs of library associations include many overarching priorities to address challenges, build capacity, and ensure long-term sustainability and relevance. And here is another listing of 10 of these elements. The survey had, to give you a sense, broad representation across the globe. And this pie chart represents the results we received from all the major areas of the world. And at this point, I will pass the mic to Lisa, who will do a deeper dive on the taxonomy of association capacities we developed through this work. Lisa.
Great. Thank you, Martha. And I'll just say next slide when we need to move on. So I want to introduce the taxonomy. So a taxonomy is a typology. It's not a hierarchy. And it is identifying the different capacities and expectations of strong and sustainable library associations. Now, this doesn't mean that if a library association doesn't have one of these capacities, that they're not a good library association. It's just an attempt to say, here are the defining characteristics of a strong and sustainable library association. So if a given library association doesn't have one of these factors, it's something to strive for and to move in that direction. So the goal here is not to judge library associations, but guide the development and operation of these organizations so that they can fully fulfill their missions. So the taxonomy is presented in two parts. So there's a first section, which is foundational capacities necessary to operate efficiently. So an operational efficiency set of capacities. And then the second section are those capacities that enable partnership and social benefit. So if we look at the next slide, we'll see these two components. As I said, part one, foundational operational capacities, and part two, capacities for partnership and social benefit. So let's look first at the foundational operational capacities. The first of these is governance and organizational support. And throughout the taxonomy, you'll see that under each one of the capacities is listed a number of elements for an association to be working within. So in this one, we see leadership, human resources, strategic planning, impact evaluation, and administrative infrastructure. All of these are components of the governance and organizational support capacity. The next category is membership support or membership services. And again, you can see we need to understand our members, we need to have benefits for our members, opportunities for them to engage, and recognition and awards for those members who are excelling. Next slide. Now, of course, no sustainable library association could do without funding and resources. And we need to steward those resources, have a sustainable business model, develop grants and scholarships to people, do fundraising and manage donations, and facilitate resource sharing and collaboration across the field. Next slide. I think this next one, professional development, is something that we're all very familiar with and appreciative of, which is professional development. So that includes our training and continuing education, conferences and workshops, mentorship initiatives, and possibly accreditation and certifications for education credentials as appropriate in the particular country. Next slide. And of course, we want to do all of this representing the full diversity of our societies and our professions, as well as to be fully inclusive in our practices in our association to ensure that everyone is able to be engaged and no one is experiencing discrimination. Next slide. Now, what are these capacities for partnership and social benefit? There are three of these. Next slide. The first one is advocacy and representation. So it's very important that if we are going to have partnership and social benefit, that we're advocating and representing externally as well as doing the work internally. Next slide. There's also the importance of communications, research, and documentation, telling the story, doing investigations, developing standards and guidelines, and doing research, and then of course documenting statistics from our field. And then the final category of capacity is social impact. How we have our outreach programs, develop strategic partnerships, how we build alignment among other library associations and the government funders, society development initiatives, etc. And then finally, of course, mobilization. How can we activate libraries to access and steward resources to deliver on wider social goals? So that wraps up our quick look through the capacities, because I think what's most important in the session here today is that we hear about our three strong case studies of library associations who are striving and excelling and achieving within these capacities. I see a comment in the chat about the report. The report is publicly available, and when I finish talking here, I'll go find the link and put it into the chat. Thank you, Martha.
I was saying we have a link in the slides to the report. And we have also developed a worksheet of these capacities and their description that is available to the associations and to any member actually of an association. to use the worksheet to identify and describe how your specific association addresses these capacities. Asking questions, do these capacities exist in your library association? Which ones exist, which ones do not? If yes, how are they being realized? What happens currently? And how, whatever the state of development is now, what needs to happen in the future? So we hope you will use this link to this worksheet and do some self-assessment. And we are available to guide you through your self-assessment process for your library association. On that note, as Lisa said, we have great speakers. This is my email if you decide to use our support in doing the self-assessment. But as Lisa said, we have great speakers who will tell us a little bit more about their capacities and their association development. And I'm going to stop sharing.
So I just want to thank you to Martha and Lisa, also obviously to Shanika and Avsentia for doing this work. I think the point you made in particular, the development of a tool like the worksheet is really helpful, because I don't know, we're certainly not in a place where we are saying that there is a single definition of a perfect library association. People are working in different geographies with different communities in different ways within a different environment. But what is helpful, and I think, I don't know, hopefully something that you too will find helpful, is the fact of having a thought framework, a way of actually attaching facets, attaching phenomena to names, and then using this as a tool for that self-reflection process. I think also just to bring out, and something I probably didn't mention enough at the beginning, that emphasis both on the importance of being operationally sound, so those first 5 items on the taxonomy of what does it take to be well governed, to be sustainable, to mobilize your members, but also that element focusing on partnership and public benefit, and really thinking about, it's the words we've used more generally, really thinking about how to be an effective partner for development, how to present ourselves to others, secure resources from others in order to do more is really, really powerful. So I think, as I said, it's good to repeat, though, that we have 3 really good speakers coming up and talking about some practical aspects of what they're doing. I'll just say quickly, I've seen that, there's one question in the chat which has been answered with a copy of the worksheet. Fantastic, so that's done. So I'm going to work in order of for whom it's latest at night, and who is joining us latest. And so I think Yat-san from Myanmar wins that particular contest, because it's definitely late at night in Myanmar. So Yat-san, over to you.
Thank you everyone, and good evening in our country. It's 8:30 p.m. and good evening everyone, and this is Nyasa, President of the Myanmar Library Association, and today I'd like to present about Myanmar Library Associations and share our current activities, challenges, and future directions. Myanmar's population stood at 54.13 million as of 2023. Our association has 15 executive committee members and a total of 1,200 members. The MLA has steadily strengthened our foundation since 1995, adapted to challenges and innovated to serve our communities more effectively. Our journey reflects a commitment to resilience, inclusivity, and strategic growth. Institutional strength and governance. At the core of MLA strength, our structures. Our association is registered with the Ministry of Home Affairs and recognized by the government bodies like Ministry of Education, Ministry of Information, and Ministry of Religious Affairs and Culture. And we collaborated with the Ministry of Education. From 2018 to 2025, MLA has successfully co-led the school library development projects in 756 schools, funded by Ministry of Education. In 2024 and 25, we organized workshops for 400 principals, township education officers, and teacher librarians to strengthen school library management. We advocate for government and partner recognitions of library as key development actors. We highlight the role in education and community resilience to secure funding and policy support. Capacity building and professionalizations. To build a strong association, we have prioritized training. MLA conducts online courses, basic, intermediate, annually for paraprofessionals, non-professionals, and library workers. Over 300 trained in only 2024. With basic course, trained 211 library workers and paraprofessionals. Intermediate course, trained 103 professionals and paraprofessional librarians. Today, I would like to share how we are working towards building a strong library association by investing in the skills and capacity of our library workers and paraprofessionals, even professional librarians. They attend the short course. We recognize that a strong library associations require not just committed leadership, but also skilled, motivated, and future-ready librarians, library professional at all levels. The capacity buildings and professionalization. The course is structured in 3 progressive levels to meet the diverse needs of our library workforce. We conducted basic course for newcomers, non-professional library staff, focusing on library fundamentals, technical services, and customer service. Intermediate course for paraprofessionals and early career librarians, focusing on the library operation, strengthening innovative library leadership course, cataloging, and using library software SLIM. We plan to conduct the advanced course in December 2025. It's for near future implementation. This will equip experienced staff with leadership and specialized skills, such as digital information literacy and AI to manage libraries and contribute to the association development. We advocate for professional development opportunities. So course impact is that we increase awareness and understanding of the library services among the public. We enhance theoretical skills in library management and technology. We strengthen confidence and commitment among library staff and library workers. We foster a sense of belonging within the broader library association community. Capacity building, professionalizations. We localize the SLIM systems, ensuring libraries are better managed and more efficient, and also compiling the subject headings in Myanmar language with a team of university libraries, librarians, public librarians, and MLA ECNs. We discuss it every Thursday. Another capacity building program is for our newly recruited young EC members and university librarians. They received the training in human resource management and AI in libraries. So we help build a culture of continuous learning. To build this strong foundation, capacity building as strong library association also listen to its community innovations and community engagement program as a citizen science and community libraries workshop for 6 community libraries brought together librarians and youth across region, empowering them to explore science, ask questions, take local actions, and facilitation skills. We are not just training librarians, we are shaping them as a community change maker and citizen science actors. regional and global collaborations, but BSL activities. The Building Strong Library Associations program, a collaborative effort between IFLA and MLA in 2014 and 15, which has successfully conducted 4 enriching workshops in Yangon. Those workshops serve as milestones in fostering a robust library associations in Myanmar. Michael Robinson, Dr. Prachak, Fiona Bradley were co-trainers, and the 4th workshop of the BSLA program with Ms. Jennifer Nicholson, Secretary General of IFLA at that time. In addition to it, a stakeholders meeting was held to further cement its commitment to progress and collaboration in the field of library development in Myanmar. Yes, and another highlight was IFLA MLA Impact Workshop in December 2024, led by Proud Dr. Pramila Gamagi from Sri Lanka. This 3-day successful workshop focused on measuring, evaluating, and demonstrating library services impact. This impact workshop was the first time with our Myanmar librarians. It was attended by 28 community, public, university librarians with funding from IFLA and MLA. Partnerships elevate our associations. One of the young members and a public librarian from Ministry of Information, they could participate in the Social Inclusion Library Transformation Program in Indonesia. Myanmar delegates include 18 librarians from diverse backgrounds who are attending Council 19 in Malaysia coming Sunday, and 6 papers will be presented at the Congress. Funds were raised through the Myanmar Library Association to enable librarians and LIS professors from the university to attend the Congress. It will be a rewarding experience, offering numerous benefits to the librarians and university professors of LIS, and a great opportunity to keep abreast with the advancements in the library field despite our current difficult situation. MLA is also planning to collaborate with the Philippines Library Association at Council 19 by signing MOU. International webinars. MLA hosted international webinars with the speakers from Qatar and Czech Republic. Topic on AI and integrated library system by Pastor Leah Tazi from Georgetown University Library in Qatar, and libraries and SDGs from Global Perspective by Dr. Reza Alanzula from Czech Academy of Science. These engagements strengthen our vision and align us with the global standards. Resilience in crisis. A strong association stands with its members during hard times. In 2024 and 25, floods and earthquakes damaged many libraries. MLA coordinated emergency relief, supplies, and youth-led recovery efforts. Heavy flood, a bad situation caused by the persistent rainfall since September 10th, has affected the 4 school libraries 2 days after the arrivals of books and supplies from Myanmar Library Association. On September 12, 2024, the water level rose and rose. The principals and school janitor had to move the documents, but it failed. When the water level had slightly subsided, the principal checked the books in the library donated by the MLA the day before the flood, and found out that they had been soaked overnight and could not be retrieved. The principal was very upset. Over 1,500 books and the library supplies were damaged. This unforeseen natural disaster has not only damaged the newly delivered resources, but also hindered access to the libraries for students and teaching staff. MLA organized disaster response group with the EC members and the Publisher Association and the private donors to donate the books and the library supply to restore the libraries. The flooding caused significant damage to the books and supplies, rendering many of them unusable. In response, my MLA is collaborating with the principals and TEO, Township Education Officer, to evaluate the extent of the damage and devise restoration efforts to ensure that students can access the resources they need for their education as soon as possible. MLA Disaster Response Group donated cash and books to the earthquake-affected libraries and the librarians who stay at the platform temporarily during the aftershock period. We believe library must not only survive disaster, but lead this recovery. How libraries in Myanmar can use IFLA resources even more effectively. We translate key IFLA documents like Trend Report, Strategy 2024-29, its ongoing process. We translated Public Library Manifesto, School Library Guidelines 2019, and SDG materials into Myanmar language for our local library staff. We recently translated Library Earthquake Preparedness Planning from Journal of Library Administrations and also used IFLA Global Platforms, Library Map of the World, to share Myanmar library stories. And this also brings visibility to local initiatives. We create small groups of library staff to study IFLA materials together and to invite those with experienced MLA leaders to mentor younger librarians, like the IFLA Building BSLA programs. To conclude, building a strong library association means evolving together through learning, inclusions, shared purpose. On behalf of the Myanmar Library Association, I thank IFLA and Regional Committee for Asia and Pacific colleagues for your support and share visions of empowering libraries and library workers for a brighter future. Despite the challenges and difficult times, we are proud of our progress and we feel encouraged by the prospect of more collaboration as we continue this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Merzan, and I think your presentation speaks for itself in terms of the really impressive work that you're able to deliver, and as you said, you can't necessarily even rely on the electricity, but you're actually getting so much done. The response to the recent disasters is a fantastic example for everyone. I take a lot for this broader question of how to going about strengthening associations. I think all the points you were making about the value of training and getting people into continuous professional development from an early age, and so they feel like they're part of that community, and using that as a form of glue, a way of binding people together. I thought that was a really positive, a really interesting example. So what I'm going to suggest is we have the other two presentations, and then I'm going to hand back to see if Martha and Lisa have comments or suggestions or reflections on how these relate to the typology and the work that's already been done. So thank you. So from Yatsan, I'm going to head west to Lebanon, to Basma.
My presentation is about the Lebanese Library Association sustainability in the time of disaster with reference to BSLA. The Lebanese Library Association, I want to give you a history of the Library Association. Lebanese Library Association founded in 1960 by librarians and archivists from academic, research, and school libraries. It joined the IFLA in 1960, the same year of its foundation. It is composed of two bodies, the General Assembly and the Administration Board. The first members were the pioneer librarians working in libraries and teaching in public and private library schools. LLA suspended its activity between 1975 and 1990 due to the Lebanese Civil War. LLA has conducted a training session in Doha in October 2015 about BSLA. It was conducted by my colleague Randa Shadiak. I'm talking now about the strategic restructuring through the BSLA project. LLA benefited of BSLA participation in building strong library association project to undergo a comprehensive restructuring, strengthening governance, financial management, and strategic planning. This transformation led LLA to a more resilient and sustainable association, ensuring long-term operational efficiency. Disaster response and national influence via Blue Shield membership. As members of Blue Shield International, LLA gained critical tools for cultural heritage protection during crisis, enhancing our ability to support communities in time of disaster and war. This elevated LLA role to a key national stakeholder in emergency response and preservation effort, mainly in the last Israeli war on Lebanon. Regional leadership through IFLA in 2030 agenda training. Having an LLA member serve as trainer for IFLA International Advocacy Program on Libraries Development and the UN 2030 agenda amplified the LLA influence in the MENA region, positioning it as a leader in sustainable development advocacy for libraries. Global visibility by showcasing BSLA successes. Representing LLA at regional and international forum and sharing our BSLA restructuring success story boosted our credibility and visibility, attracting partnership and recognition from global library network. Elevating standards through high-profile conferences. Organizing national and conferences and seminars featuring renowned speakers, including former IFLA presidents and international experts, not only enrich professional discourse, but also positioned LLA as a hub for knowledge exchange and innovation in library sciences. LLA organized 6 international conferences since 2002. The latest was held in Esqua, Beirut in May 2024 and was about digital preservation of cultural heritage. Expanding membership with targeted outreach. By engaging school, public, and specialized libraries through tailored workshop and advocacy program, LLA broadened its member base, fostering inclusivity and ensuring diverse representation within the association. LLA membership fees have been waived in the time of financial crisis 2019 to 2001. Lebanese libraries enjoyed free IFLA memberships after the Beirut port explosion, organizing online seminars during COVID pandemic. Strengthening advocacy via media and national presence. Increased participation of LLA president in national media interview and public events reinforced our advocacy effort, raising awareness about library issues and solidifying LLA's role as a leading voice in Lebanon cultural and educational sector. Empowering members through SDG-focused projects. Showcased LLA impact on the UN Sustainable Development Goal, SDGs, inspiring confidence and fostering a culture of innovation and leadership among members and encouraging libraries to apply SDG goals. Highlighting member-led initiatives such as Joel El-Haj Obeid work at Amiyun Public Library in Lebanon. Innovative partnership for model library development and networking. Collaboration with cultural institutions to establish the model library set new benchmark for library service in Lebanon, demonstrating LLA commitment to modernization and best practices. Networking with peer libraries and archives like the Goethe Institute in Beirut, Endangered Archives Program, EAP in UK, and Modern History Observatory in Lebanon. Partnership with IFLA MLAS in our last conference 2024. Nurturing future leader with student engagement. Offering free LLA membership on LIS students in Lebanese University and other universities, and organizing specialized activities for them ensures a pipeline of skilled professionals, securing the association future sustainability and growth. Survey about the destroyed libraries. LLA is participating in the survey project for collecting data about destroyed public and private libraries after the Israeli bombarding on South Lebanon and Dahya 2023 to 2025. This project is funded by Archives and Digital Media Lab, ADML. Lebanese University Library School students will work on this project. LLA will donate books to replace the damaged book from exchange, donation and exchange from academic libraries and other libraries. LLA challenges. LLA is run by volunteers. LLA doesn't have its own headquarters. Its savings has been gone during the financial crisis. Each president moved LLA physical archive to the premises where he or she is working. Lebanese National Library catalog is not working due to the electricity instability and power cut on the server. Political resistance to support the association and the libraries is a major reason for public library services deterioration, besides the LLA effort to build capacity. This is our challenges, and we hope we can overcome some of them when the peace is coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Basma. That was a fantastic, and really appreciate the reflection, just of structuring that reflection on the experience of the association and what's worked and what hasn't. I really like that focus on the training side of things and on that targeted outreach to people. Also that value, the potential sort of mutually reinforcing relationship between effective advocacy being very visible in the public debate and the sustainability of the association, in that people see you and they start to identify the association as being a key player, and of course they want to be part of it, and when you have more people on board it's possible to be more effective. Some of those stories about collaboration as well, so getting onto the Blue Shield board and becoming visible and gaining that status, and that opens doors, it makes it possible to do things. And I don't know, it's also, just say that one example that you're saying, clearly it's a volunteer-based association with limited resources, but being able to do things like hold a conference at the UN without having any staff, that's a fantastic illustration of what it's possible to do with effective use of partnerships and things like that. So I thought that was a very, very positive set of examples. So I'm now going to hand over to Joseph for the Jamaican experience, and then we'll go back to Martha and Lisa.
Thank you, Stephen. Good morning, everyone, or good night, or good evening, wherever you are. It's indeed an opportunity for us to share our Jamaican experience. Let me go ahead, and I thank you for the invitation so extended, and we look forward to continue partnership. Okay, thank you. Of course, my name is Joseph Kerr. I'm the current president for the Library and Information Association of Jamaica. A little background, well, just briefly what we'll be looking at: introduction, missions, objectives, boosting professional capacities, Working parties and sections, those are part of the executive. Fostering partnership with other associations, adapting to the digital age, impact and the lessons we would have learned over the period, a timeline and major milestones, and looking forward. All right. As it relates to LIAGE, just that we started way back in 1949, a year after we had the Jamaica Library Service that was established. We started out then with 94 persons who met in the parish of St. Catherine on July 14th to form the association, Jamaica Library Association. It was later renamed the Library and Information Association of Jamaica. Our mission to provide leadership in development promotion as it relates to librarian. Objectives to unite all persons engaged in or interested in library work in Jamaica and provide opportunities for their meeting together to discuss matters relating to library. Encourage cooperation between libraries and to promote active development and maintenance of libraries throughout Jamaica. Promote high standards of education and training of library staff and work towards improving the status of our librarians. And finally, promote a wider knowledge of library work and to form an educated public opinion on libraries. I mentioned earlier, we have an executive that comprises the following areas. These are all headed by individuals: education and training, research and publication, membership and conditions of service, public relations, fundraising, and information technology. We have also some sections. These are also headed by individuals. We have school section representing all persons within the public school sector, that is up to the secondary level. We have special libraries, which include law libraries and other public sector libraries. Academic libraries also, all tertiary institutions are a part of this area. Records and archives management. And finally, we have special interest groups. And this is our retired members. They are they're extremely important to us, hence we created a section for them. Enduring sustainability, clear constitution, active executive, thus ensuring good governance and administrative management. We have a 21-member executive and we are all volunteers. The good thing about many of us is that we are sponsored by our institution, the institution which we are employed to, they sponsor us. We emphasize on transparency, inclusiveness, and democratic leadership transition. So we have elections every year. Financial sustainability via membership dues, we do get grants and we get sponsorships. Digital presence, LIAGE has embraced digital transformation. We all knew what happened when COVID hit us, so we had to transform online. But even before COVID, many of our libraries would have been offering online services. The use of social media and digital reports and the newsletter to engage our membership and also to increase our visibility. In boosting professional capacities, we workshop for continued professional development, and it's done in different areas: cataloging, digital and information literacy, academic integrity, and of course, AI tools and copyright, etc. We also have specialized training for the different areas. So for the academic librarians, different, also for the public and special librarians, as it relates to the changing technological needs. Regular annual meeting along with our conferences are held. Membership and student outreach. It is to be noted that most of our students come through either the Excelsior Community College, most of our members rather, are through the Department of Library and Information Studies at the University of the West Indies. These are our training grounds for persons who are coming in as paraprofessionals and persons who are coming in as librarians. If you are a student, there's a discounted rate for membership. We also encourage our members to renew membership also. And some, as I said earlier, some institution, once the institution pays, the librarian automatically benefit from the dues that has been paid. Fostering partnership, collaboration is important. So various government bodies, quasi-government bodies, otherwise called executive agencies, academic institution, local, regional, and institutional organizations also. We need to point out also that the ColliNet Group, the College Library Information Network, that caters for academic libraries, and we do have a good partnership with them. Stakeholders nationally, Ministry of Education, National Library of Jamaica, and just to mention that we are represented on the board of the National Library of Jamaica. So we do have a say as it relates to policies relating to library and librarianship in Jamaica. Jamaica Library Service, Jamaica Archives and Records Department, Jamaica Libraries and Information Network. Regional bodies, the Library Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean Association of Law Libraries, and the Association of Caribbean University and Research Institutional Libraries, which is ACURAL, and they are currently meeting in Turks and Caicos. And of course, UNESCO, IFLA, International Association of School Librarianship, and the American Library Association. We do partner with all those entities from time to time. Adapting to the digital age, critically important, and we had to pivot to that area, especially when COVID came, hosting of various seminars and web conferences to remain accessible and also very cost-effective for our members. The launch of AI workshops and technology integrated sessions for our membership. Some of our accomplishments over the period would have been annual Library and Information Week. We have been celebrating that in Jamaica for the past 9 years, and this was proclaimed by our Governor General. In addition to that, during the week, we have a newspaper supplement whereby there are messages, and of course, the different institutions would have advertised in that supplement. We increase membership and participation among our young professionals. We reach out to them, trying to get them to become a part of the membership. Some of the challenges we would have faced are limited funding and the reliance on volunteerism. Succession planning also, there are persons who serve on the executive, but in terms of moving forward, they do not want to. So we have to be encouraging persons. Some of the lessons we have learned over the period would have been the importance of partnership, ColliNet, and other entities that we would have worked with. Innovation as it relates to training, delivery method, working with UNESCO and other areas, whereby they would have shared a lot of their training sessions, so our membership could participate in it. Just briefly on our timeline, when we started from 1949 to where we are now, last year into this year, celebrating our 75th anniversary. Continue to play a pivotal role in advancing library and information profession in Jamaica since our inception. We work to empower our librarians and support staff, this institution to ensure access to quality information for all Jamaicans. This is what we would have had last year when we had Library Week. These are some highlights of what we had during our celebration. This is our annual general meeting that was held in February. These are highlights. I mentioned the partnership. Notice that we would have partnered with a lot of companies who sponsored the awards and recognition ceremony that we had in February. And of course, this is our guest speaker, Earl Maxon, very prominent journalist here in Jamaica. And this is our librarian of the year, Dr. Ruth Baker Gardner. She works with the Department of Library and Information Studies at UWI. Looking ahead, the AJA continues to position itself as a forward-leading professional body, and we are committed to empowering our librarians, especially in this digital age, building bridges across all disciplines and sectors, ensuring that library service in Jamaica remains central to the Jamaica 2030 developmental goals, which the theme is making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Looking forward, next month there is a research and publication workshop being planned. At the end of the month also we have AI reader librarian, or we ask our librarians, are they ready for AI? So we do have workshops that are planned for the end of July, and it's currently being marketed for our librarians to participate in. Mentioned earlier that we are currently celebrating our 75th anniversary. This is the logo and theme that we have been working with, celebrating library and information professionals, authoritative and reliable, a FIWI legacy. Or in other words, it's our legacy. Thanks again for the invitation to participate, and I look forward to full scrum discussion and the presentation that's just made. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Joseph. I feel like I've learned some Jamaican English as well with the Fiwi line at the end.
You learned some patois.
It's patois. That hasn't got to
Patois,
the UK.
okay.
Maybe parts of Lewisham, you never know. So
Okay.
fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Again, I think there was some really powerful, interesting, really strong themes coming out around the importance of getting people involved from an early stage, making engagement in the association as a habit, that role of training, obviously as a way of strengthening the field, but also as a way of bringing people into the association, ensuring those connections, that readiness to partner, to go out and be a stakeholder. I think that there's an interesting angle that I know we've been looking at from IFLA in general.
And if I may, Stephen, if I may, I
Please.
totally forgot, but students that are 30 students that are at the Department of Library and Information Studies in Jamaica, there's a scholarship from the LEAJA, the Retired Members Foundation, that they do benefit from. So we do
That's a
give,
really good idea.
yes,
And
we do offer mentorship.
the mentorship's also really good. So really, you make association engagement into a habit. It's just something that people do. So that's a really good one. What I was going to say as well was that was something that we do look to think about within IFLA is the role of the library field. And I know it's quite a broad, vague term, but the importance of the ministries, the agencies, the institutions, the groupings, the networks that bring people in libraries together, actually, that all of these networks in turn work together. So your engagement with the National Library, with the Jamaica Library Service, with the Ministry of Education, with key institutions, with Colinet, is a really nice example of all the players working together, because I suppose in the end, people only have so much time, and they're much more, you can get much more done if you actually coordinate and make that happen. So I thought that was quite a powerful, quite interesting example there. So I'm now going to hand back to Martha and Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you for all three very inspiring case studies about library associations and what you do on the field. A couple of thoughts I had in terms of what we can do to kind of learn more from each other. And you touched upon that, Stephen, when you said, we need this better understanding of the networks around each library association. And I wonder if we could come up with kind of the list of acronyms and the list of partnerships that each library association has, kind of as an appendix to a future study, because it would help us shape, for example, if we suddenly see an environment where you have a lot of connections with the school libraries. In Myanmar, what was described was a very strong connection with the school libraries. And, it shapes, I think, our understanding of how the capacities we developed in the taxonomy could be applied in such an environment. So yeah, the network picture is one element. The other thing I I really liked was, and I've used it in the past in projects, the timeline history that Joseph had, the one-page development of the Jamaican Library Association. If every library association had that one pager, would be really great. There are a couple of other things I want to touch upon, but I also want to make sure Lisa shares her perspective on what she wants to highlight.
Thank you, Martha. I think the first thing I just take away from this is how often we don't really know the depth of the work that's happening in our associations across the country. And it was really great that so many associations responded to our survey and participated in the discussion. But I think this webinar, as well as the ones that Loida mentioned, are really an important part of the information sharing or building a knowledge network across our associations, which I think is something that IFLA is uniquely situated to help catalyze. So I'm grateful to Stephen and the team that they continue to help us hear from each other in this way. The other thing I wanted to mention, and not something that we had time to go into when we talked about the taxonomy, was that in the report, there's a second part of the report in which we identify current and future needs of library associations that either IFLA or the associations themselves could pursue in achieving or seeking to better achieve these capacities. And so again, we won't have time to read through all of them today, but it did strike me that that part of the report may also be very interesting for people to focus on, especially the needs we saw in how do we build towards financial stability, how to develop stronger advocacy networks. I think our case studies here today really highlighted the importance of developing leadership capacity and collaboration. But the one that I didn't hear quite as much today, and could just be it wasn't foregrounded, is the degree to which technology is something we need to be focusing on as well. Now, obviously, we even had our own example today of the way technology infrastructures are not globally equitable. And so this is something that I'm also thinking maybe is part of the great work that IFLA does, but that we need to make sure we keep doing, because in a digital world, the technology infrastructure is ultimately what lets our libraries serve our users, and therefore what library associations need to be championing within all of our regions of the world to ensure that we build towards that equitable access and not a continued situation that we have right now of great inequities globally. So I went kind of far afield with that, I think. But it just, I'm both really, really grateful for the knowledge exchange here, but also I think these case studies really help call us in IFLA to a greater collaboration within IFLA to make sure that we're bringing all library associations along in this work.
Thank you.
Even a bunch of work to do, so we'll see how he feels about it.
No, I've been taking notes, and of course, Lloyd isn't here anymore, so I can also
Yeah.
task her in absentia. But no, I don't. More seriously, just building on what you're saying there, but I think also some of the points that Martha made. I think this raises some interesting questions about. And I think we've already talked about, there's no such thing as the platonic ideal of a library association, a perfect association that exists in the imagination and that everyone should try to be. That doesn't exist. I think what we have are a series of vectors of change, directions of travel, and everyone comes from people come from different places, and that's normal, and that's just how things are. I did like what Martha was suggesting about defining particular steps and so and that Lisa dipped into as well. So the particular steps about it, what are the options for moving from being purely volunteer based to having some capacity, to do things, and to being able to find the resources to have someone who can to do some of the administration and actually run things. I think those steps about how to upgrade outreach. I think there are so many good examples about how you become seen as a key player, a key voice. How do you enter into partnerships with others? I think I really liked it. That the examples we had today are really good in terms of how do you reach out to library schools. And so I think there's almost some bite-sized steps or scenarios that we can look at. It feels like there's also quite a lot of scope. So obviously we have the Management of Library Association section, which is focusing on associations. Our other sections tend to focus on individuals, on communities served, on institutions, but perhaps actually less on associations. So maybe there's some scope to actually bring things together, and rather than thinking about what are the guidelines that we give to a single institution, but what are the guidelines that we give to an association or maybe an agency or whoever else in trying to upgrade IT at a systemic level or upgrade something else at a more systemic level, which is also something that arguably IFLA should be in a position to actually do. To see it's obviously an ambition one, and then that would link in with the discussion about fields and the different actors that associations might work with to achieve these things, and then we get back to everything that we were saying about economies of scale. And if we're talking about, there was a comment in the chat about getting some customer relationship management software, and I don't think we can necessarily do that at the global level, but actually at the national level, it may be possible to think about shared procurement if local government and institutions allow it, but actually developing services at that level, which may be the most sort of appropriate. So I don't know, there's an awful lot in there. I wanted to go back as well then to Miat-san, Basma and Joseph. I didn't suggest you sort of react to each other, but I'm keen to see if you had any thoughts or reflections that came out from what others have said, or building also on Martha and Lisa's comments. Miat-san?
Yes, and thank you for presenting our work with you all. And so I read about the report for our references. And so like mentioned in the report, so we establishes regular, possibly annual, and workshops, webinar series, updating and socializing online and on-site delivery, and exploring both the trainer approaches as well as the project participation approach. So I'm glad that we are following that approach. So we would like to see more and more collaboration among the library associations with IFLA guidelines. Thank you.
Excellent thing, and of course, just to a large extent, that's one of the key roles of MLAS. But I know that this is a significant and important enough issue to mean that we should be looking at it more broadly as well. Thank you. And I suppose I should say as well, I think also, and I think I feel this in all of the presentations, that the level of reflection of sort of critical thinking about the operation of associations is really excellent. I know it's a fantastic model.
We'll
So,
try our best. Yeah.
Basma.
I read the report as well, and I wish I can present more activities done by LLA, but during the war, everything is unstable, and people are not ready to make seminars and to make we can't make capacity building in the time of war, but we are hoping, or we are try to make our future more brighter than today, and we have a lot of activities to do in LLA. We are waiting only the stability. It starts with the new government. We are now waiting for the full peace to be reigned in in Lebanon and the south, mainly in the south and in Dahia. We hope for brighter future.
Basma kind of touched on the aspect that I see we did not. We viewed the development of the report as kind of the development, capacity building, but there is both Myanmar and Lebanon touched upon it, and I know Jamaica and the Caribbean area also, have natural disasters. They touched upon the kind of man-made and nature-made disasters, and there is maybe another area. And maybe it goes beyond MLAS, Stephen, I don't know, maybe within the broader IFLA of the disaster preparedness and, how do you develop a sort of a picture of a risk assessment for an area, risk scenarios, mitigation preparedness, and taking that model, which is a recovery model or preparedness model, and work with that in addition to the capacity development model that we addressed in the report.
Absolutely, and it's an area that the Advisory Committee on Cultural Heritage looks at to a large extent, but I'm conscious that often these, at least at the global level, there's a focus on preserving the collections. And actually the greater need probably is preserving the people and it's preserving the services and it's preserving the systems. So it's actually having that broader focus. Although I don't know, I suppose what I should say, and Miat-san, you mentioned the power going off. I know in Lebanon that's also a challenge, and I think in both your cases, just the amount that has been achieved despite this is great, and obviously hoping for better times. Joseph.
You, where our tertiary level institution libraries are and private sector libraries are concerned, there's not much challenge there, because for the academic libraries, we were able to, through ColinIT, develop a standard as it relates to staffing and the functionality of those libraries. So those are consistent. The challenge we are faced with right now is the school libraries, because they fall under the government sector. So we just recently conducted and developed and to be published a standard for the school libraries. Because what has been happening, there are many school libraries that their spaces are now being converted into conference rooms and other areas. Because for some principal, for them, school library is not important. So we have been advocating, and we met last week and we looked at it in detail, and a committee is in place and they'll be looking at further development as it relates to safeguarding the school libraries. It is extremely important, because what happened, unlike this secondary and tertiary level where you have trained librarians, for school libraries, you mostly have trained teachers, and many of them are functioning as teacher librarians. Hence also our encouragement, and which is happening for some who would have had a first degree. We're encouraging them to come back and do part-time to do the masters in librarianship. And also to mention that our training school in Jamaica is moving from just librarianship to archives and museum, the records managers. They have revived the curriculums. So there are changes taking place.
Fantastic, thank you. And I hope that in due course that shift also means that there will be greater possibilities for collaboration across those sectors. Now, I think that point about school libraries is particularly interesting, and others talked about that outreach. I know that, I think as you say, the library field, it's broad, it's diverse, but
Yes.
I know that in a lot of countries, actually the key, and we know this from colleagues in Fiji, for example, as well, a key goal is actually to provide the most basic trained school librarians and help them through the association develop skills that they might not have been able to pick up elsewhere. So again, yeah, making sure it's inclusive and focusing where there's going to be the greatest impact. So I'm conscious we're just over time, and I'm conscious people either have beds to go to or other tasks. So I'm going to call us to a close right now. I want to say, I don't know, I will give Martha and Lisa the opportunity just to say any quick last words, perhaps. Anything to add, Martha, Lisa?
Just to say thank you to all our co-presenters for the wonderful work you are doing in your countries. Thank you.
I echo that from Martha, and I also just put my email address in the chat if anyone would like to follow up or ask a question, or if you're going to be in Kazakhstan, I'd love to see you there as well. I'll be there the entire week.
And I think certainly one thing that for those of you who are in Kazakhstan, we're looking at opportunities, possibilities to run short workshops as well to talk about these things. So just before we close, of course, we put the link in the chat. If you have a phone, do feel free to scan the QR code, which will take you to the news story that talks about this. Other than that, we've done the discussion. I just want to say once again a big thank you to Martha and Lisa here, to Shanika, who's not, from the QualityMetrics team, for putting this report together, for providing this framework that allows us to have this sort of discussion and think about where we should be going next. Thank you to Miat-san, to Basma, and to Joseph for your time in joining, and also obviously for all your work that provides such a great example and such great learning for others. And thank you everyone who has joined us, who's joined us today, who's joined us. I'll go back to the QR code for those who want to see it again, and enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.